Hi, welcome to Overlanding from Home. My name is Anton. I'm an avid overlander, lover of nature, and humanitarian by heart. The past while, I've always been interested in the outdoors, and I want to hear about other people's experiences and their rigs. Yes, the big rigs, the small rigs, everything they've done to design them and how they plan it. I hope you enjoy listening. Let's find out who today's guest is. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and followers from pretty much all over the place. And I've been seeing the numbers; it's been looking really good, and it looks like these podcasts are reaching far and wide, which is amazing. And today, I want to introduce Tim from Mototesto. They're a Filipinian company, and I think they've got a great story. And I think their environment and their regions are amazing. Lots of water, if I believe, which allows mud and greenery. So I just want to introduce Tim. Tim, thank you very much for signing in and doing this podcast with me.
Hi, good afternoon or good day to all the listener. I'm Tim Tuazon. I'm from the Philippines.
You know, a few things. I remember you mentioned to me that that you started this whole thing because it's just like a very untapped market, and there was, if I'm correct, there was no one that was doing fabrications on vehicles and things like that. That's correct, right? So you guys just decided to start bringing in some products and then converting overlanding or 4x4 machines into something that's a little bit more usable for your environment.
Yeah. Way back 8 to 10 years ago, there's no equipment for overlanding. There's a few people who does go off-roading on a day trips or overnighter camping, but it's not an overlanding grade equipment. So based on our background, our family started with my parents and my uncles way back when I was young. We do road trips and do camping stuff. Then we decided to get the product from different countries and start overlanding. And then a lot of our friends who are interested and join us. That's how we started the business. And then we love to invite people and introduce the overland lifestyle. That's how it's been started since 2009.
So I'm busy looking at a few pictures here. There's one picture of you guys parked in a riverbed with your feet in the water and your vehicle in the water while you're sitting on your chairs. I mean, it looks like it's really hot, but that background is just incredible. You've got a hill or a mountain there full of green trees, the water flowing. Is that a common occurrence on a weekend, or do you have to go far and wide in order to find those type of sceneries?
All right. On the photo that you saw, it's about a 6-day trip. It's 8 hours drive from where we at, going to the place. And then since Philippines is an archipelago, we consist of a lot of islands. To reach that place, we have to ride a roll-on, roll-off boat for another 4 hours to another island.
Is there are there different ways to cross over from island to island? I mean, are there ferries that take vehicles? How does it generally work?
Yeah. Okay. To cross island to island, you need to go to a port. The nearest port to the next island. Then you have to ride a ferry. You have to be there early because there's no reservation. It's a first come first serve basis. So that then you book your ferry, then you ride to the other side of the island. You go exploring. Generally, the Filipino people are very hospitable. So when they see a tourist or a foreign from another region, they're very friendly. They try to help whatever they can. If you ask direction, they what do you call it? They will generally help you. but the barrier is the English
Yes.
proficiency. A lot of outside the capital, it's not everyone can speak English or
Sure,
understand
sure, and
English.
fair enough. I mean, we have so many languages around the world. It's quite a challenge for everyone to know the same thing. So I'm just having a squiz at the map here, and it does seem like there's some amazing scenery. I mean, there's obviously a lot of coastline. A lot of the roads go around the coastline. So to go between the two, or sorry, to go between the little islands must be pretty awesome. I've seen see Brunei is close by. Not that I don't think many people go there. I don't know what the safety like is there. You were saying about safety. So safety as an overlander, or safety generally was a challenge what, about 12, 15 years ago, or is it still something that needs to be looked into?
Okay, regarding the safety as a general, it's a challenge 15 to 20 years ago, going outside the capital or going outside the main island of the Philippines. But generally, right now, the main island of the Philippines and the nearby islands from the capital island are generally safer than before. So it's better when you go there. You have to go to the nearest
Yes,
municipal hall. I don't know what they call it. It's like a government
yes.
city hall. Then go to the tourism office and then register yourself. Then you told them if they can ask a local guide that would be that have that knows how to speak the local language of that place.
Yeah,
That
that's
would
fair
help a
enough. I
lot.
mean, I would probably do that without even blinking. And so you're in Manila, right? And then what is
Yes.
it? Is it a difficulty, or is there a very different scenery when it gets to Davao, or I'm just reading some names here, Bohol, and all these different things. I mean, is it the same type of scenery? It's hot, obviously hot and humid, wet, green beaches. Is it very overpopulated for drivers, or can overlanders drive there and not see anyone for 20 kilometers, for example?
Okay. For the place that you mentioned, let's say Davao and Bohol, it's Bohol is a different scenario comparing to Manila and Davao because Manila, Davao, and Cebu are capital city, so it's mostly commercialized city. Outside Manila, let's say 2 hours away from Manila, or 2 hours away from Cebu, or 2 hours away from Bohol, it the scenery changed drastically. It becomes more nature-based scenery. In Bohol, it's a small city. It's not a capital city, so 30 to 40 minutes away from Bohol proper will be all nature
Oh, that
already.
sounds awesome. And tell me, so what let's just tell all the listeners about your vehicle. So what are you driving at the moment? What's your off-roading vehicle?
Okay. I have a tendency to be attached on things that I love. So I don't sell my previous vehicle. So I started with a
Okay.
Nissan Patrol. I've done 380,000 kilometer on it. More than half are
Wow.
mostly overlanding. So it's Z ZD30 engine. With I modified because it's everyone knows it's a bit
Okay.
under power. So I modification. I still kept the car, even if it's sitting in the garage. So I'm using a Ford Ranger 3.2. I also restored a Land Cruiser Prado, the Series 90, the V6 one. I restored one, and I use it from time to time. And I also have a Land Rover Discovery 3, which I bring to overlanding a few times, but with the Land Rover, the maintenance and the parts are a bit
Yes.
on the extreme side. So I still kept the car because it's a nice to drive it for over town trips and city. But yeah, bringing it off the beaten track would be another question due to the
Yeah. Yeah.
maintenance issue.
That's interesting. I mean, I think everyone would love to be able to keep all of their old rigs and vehicles, but it becomes a bit expensive, re-kitting things. But I guess you can always just chop and change. I mean, if it was possible, I'm very interested. I mean, what tires did you start off with, for example, and what tires are you using now on your Ford?
All right. Okay. Way back 20 or 25 years ago, there's not much parts here. So what we have access is Yokohama Geolander or Dunlop uh, 83. Those are the only off-road tire that we can have way back
Okay.
25 years ago. Then then we have Cooper in early 2011. But right now, I'm using a General
Okay.
X3 tire, which is way better than all the previous tire that I use. If first time overlander or off-roader would ask me, I would recommend the General 8 X3 or BFG KO2 for
That's
their
interesting. Hey, I
vehicle.
mean, I'm a big Cooper fan, and I've been around a few different tires and vehicles, and I know that the Generals are a pretty decent tire. Many people go for them for overlanding, but I mean, obviously, you. When you go overlanding, what do you want? Do you go for mud? Do you go just to get on a dirt track and just drive until you find something? I mean, obviously that depends on the tires that you're going to use, and I know that the regions and the places I go on my humanitarian work is remote, but there are mostly roads. Not always, but there are mostly roads. So I'm using the Cooper ST Maxes at the moment, which I really like. I did look at the BFGs and the KO2s, but the KO2s were designed, if I recall, the KO2s were designed for North American winter. So, for you, I would believe it's more mud related, or am I wrong? I mean, how does it work? What do you go out
Yeah.
to find when you overland?
Okay. Here in the Philippines, we have a very robust terrain, but the travel here it's a bit unique. For example, if you're going to go overlanding on a beach, to get to your destination, you probably drive 100 to 150-kilometer highway, purely highway
Yes,
expressway road. Then only about 30 to 40 kilometer to reach your destination. So selecting a mud tire wouldn't be that ideal because of the noise it generates and the high wear on the
correct.
highway. So we generally recommend a all-terrain tire for for the overlander here because of the distance that you need to travel on road. So let's say you're going to the beach, mostly it's grassy to sandy portion. When you're going to the mountain, it's mostly rocky and mud. So a good combination of a good all-terrain very much help for longevity of the tire. Why we recommend the General X3 because the General X3 it's based on our experience. It's not a mud tire. It's look like a mud tire, but it's designed to be a multi-terrain tire. It's a best of
Of all worlds.
all terrain, and it's pretty quiet on the open road. On the highway, on the expressway, it's pretty quiet. With the ST Max, I use that on my Nissan Patrol. What I experienced with ST Max, because of the
Yeah.
terrain that we travel, mostly road and only 25% off road. It's the grip and the performance is good, but it has a high wear. Only for about 1.5 year, we already experienced even track wear, and the noise became higher and higher when time comes with age
Interesting.
of the
Very,
tire.
very interesting. I'm just having a look at the grabbers now, and listen, they're a good tire, and for what you explaining, it looks pretty perfect for for what you guys are doing. It's got a nice what's the ply on the sidewall? Do you know? I can't see that here. It doesn't show.
Okay, the general, they put on their specs
Three ply.
3 ply, but each ply, yeah, but each ply, it's it has a different technology and it's thicker. So if you're going to compare with other tire, it's comparison to a 10 ply tire. So so the 3 ply of the general on the spec sheets, it's comparison to other tire that is 10 ply thick. It's the
Oh
same
wow.
thickness as
Okay,
a
that's
ten
pretty
ply
strong.
tire.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I have two of my vehicles running on General Tire for about 3 years now, and the truck of a General Tire, the bite the tire tracks are 30% thicker than any other brand that we measured. Most of the tracks are 11 millimeter thick. The General is 13.5 millimeter thick. So the service life of
So
the tire
you've
is also
definitely done
longer.
your homework, and you definitely know what you're talking about. I mean, I'm just looking at a few pictures here. You also ride the big off road dirt bikes, but the mud, dude. I mean, this is something that I would love
Yeah, yeah.
to, I would but wouldn't love to experience is to come there and do an overlanding trip with some of that thick, heavy rain, solid soaking clay mud. I mean, it must just get completely soaked in your tires, and you can't get it out until it dries.
Yeah, I've been to that scenario twice already. It's only a 4 to 5 kilometer off-road track to a hidden underground cave, but it has a microclimate, and if it rains, you wouldn't have any chance to get out unless tractor pull you out. So we've been stuck there twice for 24
Wow.
hours already with only 5 kilometer off-road
That's
tracks.
absolutely nuts. I mean, we get in Africa we get a lot of rain in the central band of Africa, and I mean a lot of rain. Like this is a true scenario in Nairobi in Kenya. The one night during the rainy season, it started raining at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the moment it looks like it's going to be raining heavily, everyone just goes home because you can sit in your vehicle. And this is a true story. I was supposed to have a meeting in Nairobi, and the guy phoned me. He said, "Listen, I'm not going to make it. It's going to rain. Let's catch up tomorrow." And we were at our hotel, and I was like, "No, sure, that's perfectly fine." And he told me the next day that it took them 8.5 hours to go 5 kilometers. That was because of how heavy the rain was.
Yeah,
And it was raining, and then
yeah,
after
yeah.
5 hours, we were all thinking, okay, well, the rain's going to start calming down now. It's had enough, and the rain got harder. And an hour later, I'm going, no ways, the rain's going to start calming down now, and the rain just got harder, and the whole night it just kept going. So I listen, when it starts raining in some countries, you just go home, and it to get stuck like that would you would have to have a good rooftop tent and good shocks and tires in order to try and get as far as you can. That's completely crazy. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We here we have that experience
that's
too.
that's it's either awesome or not. I mean, I don't know if people are get up for that type of stuck. I mean, I've never experienced that type of mud. I've experienced mud and things like that, but not at that level. And it's completely crazy. So I see you obviously do shocks. You do a lot of the big brands, Tough Dog, and you just to go back a little bit. What fridge are you running in your vehicle at the moment? Is it a Waco?
Yeah, it's a Dometic Waco
95 liters.
95
Are
liter
you feeding an
fridge.
army?
Yeah. Well, when we go overlanding, um, six rigs are
6 rigs or
just
just
our
family?
family. You know. Yeah, yeah. We travel the entire. Most of our family are very adventurous. From my parents to my sister to my uncles, so they're all adventurous. So
Jeez,
six
that's
rigs are
crazy.
just for family.
that's that's high. And listen, I'm only laughing because that's logistically that could be a complete nightmare.
Yeah, yeah. So we do also
Yes,
some medical mission when we can. Because there's a lot of remote places that don't have access to some medical facility. So we try to bring some of our friends, medical personnel, and some medicine to some place that we can reach
yes.
that has no medical help. So
That's really
yeah,
cool. I mean, obviously, are you working with the
uh,
government, for example, to be a outdoor rescue service? Where you can take product or people. I mean, I've been talking with my local government about doing this. About being able, because of the vehicle that I drive and the way that I run my vehicle and the equipment, to be able to go into certain areas where a lot of the government vehicles can't. Whether they just don't have the right tires or the 4x4 type of system. So yeah, it's really interesting, and I would love it to. I'd love to hear that you're able to talk to your government and get it and get some form of official movement in order to support the regions, because you have thick forests, you have thick rain, and not everyone has a tractor to just pop out there and go and drop something off.
yeah. With regards with that, we don't usually coordinate with the government for the safety reason, because in a very remote place, there's maybe some
Yes,
insurgent or rebel that we don't want to be affiliated with any government. So what we do, we coordinated with local churches or local
yes.
medical personnel or NGO. So we coordinated with them. Then they coordinated to the local people or local trader on the particular place that we will go to without any government affiliation for our own safety and the
That's
safety of
very
our
that's very
team.
smart. That is very, very smart, and I completely understand that. I mean, we don't have the insurgents or terrorism like you do in certain parts of the world. I mean, some of it's old, some of it's new, and that's amazing. That's really, really clever and very smart. Because you're right, there are a lot of targets. I have worked for military and defense in the past, so even now I will not travel into Africa with a wedding ring on, because I don't want there to be any way of knowledge of my history and my family life. So I'm very under the radar when I do things. So that's a very, very smart way to do it, and I applaud you with that. That is fantastic. I really like to hear that. I mean, I'm a big fan of supporting the locals, and that's why I do my humanitarian work. Is I go into rural areas in Botswana, Namibia, and other countries that don't get the right attention, and I treat the kids for reading glasses so that they can see properly. So I completely agree. For
Yeah,
you, well, sorry, for me, the big issue is funding. I mean, that's the problem, is finding the money to fund this type of thing is a bit of a challenge. So um, it does take time to get funding, and if you get the churches supporting and the local NGOs, and they say, "Here's the product," you can, and if you can get it there, take it. That's fantastic.
Here, the funding, what we do, uh, in our off-road or overlanding community, we we usually announce that we have a medical mission and a trip to this place, and uh, the one who wants to join, they fund themselves, and if they want to donate some medical or equipment or medicine, they can donate, and then we will ask the doctors to procure it and bring it and pack it. So it's basically each and everyone who joins, we fund ourselves to bring the help. So we don't ask any funding from any LGU or NGO or churches. So what we
That's
bring there is
amazing,
all
dude. And
on our own.
I just ask anyone listening to this, if you are interested in order to try and help and support this initiative, it is really needed. Not only mine, but ones like this are really, really positive and supportive. And I want to move on to a few other questions here, because it sounds like I can sit and talk to you for another hour, which I'm pretty sure listeners are going to want to move on from. So, is this this is clearly a family affair. I mean, it's clearly a if you've got 6 rigs heading out in one in one outreach, that's that's gnarly. So you're married, you have kids, right?
I'm married, but we don't have kids yet. I'm married for 9 years already.
Jump on the bandwagon, dude. Come on, get kids.
My yeah. So yeah. For if you want to see some of the documentaries that we made for one of our medical mission, it's on the YouTube page. I forgot the title, but it says, I think it's Tubo Abra. It's in the middle, central Luzon, part of central Luzon. It's I think took us 12 hours driving off-road.
Wow. I'm just trying to, I'm on your, I had a look at your, one of the links on your YouTube channel, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, you have such great scenery, and I'm going to look for this one that you're talking about, and just try and get a good idea. But what I'll do is, folks, you can go and have a look in the links below, and all the links will be on the page. That you can go and just quickly click on and view Instagram and all of that type of thing. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I really like to hear that. So tell me, I mean, you've obviously done all your own work, right? You've obviously done all your own fabrication on the vehicle yourself. What deep cycle battery are you running at the moment?
Okay, the battery that I'm using right now on my Ford Ranger, I use Trojan AGM battery. It's a 100 amp battery with a 200 watt solar input. With a 200 watt solar panel.
Or a flexi panel? Wow,
it's a fixed
watts,
panel.
That's quite big. You've obviously put that on your rooftop tent, right?
Yeah, I have a rooftop tent. I prefer also to have a rooftop tent than a ground tent.
That's fair enough. And what's your rooftop tent?
Currently, the brand that we carry right now, it's Front Runner. The suspension is Koni. And then we also have the deck drawer system for pickup trucks. Yeah, that's our own brand that we import and distribute here in the Philippines. They
make some really, really good stuff, and their initiative is really nice. They're a big brand, and they've become global, which can create some challenges, but their products are generally rock solid. And I've been doing these 1-minute Instagram posts. I don't know if you've seen any of them about hacks on vehicles, and it's they actually reached out to me after I made a bit of a complaint about some of their stuff rusting, and they're going to send me new stuff. So they definitely honor if something's gone wrong, which is really good. And I'm glad that you're using Front Runner. It's a good South African brand. So you're running a 200 amp power solar panel. You've got a 100 amp power AGM battery, which is pretty much the same as what I have. I'm running a 100-watt solar panel actually. And do you have a lot of lights? I mean, what's your favorite part on your rig? What is the favorite thing that you love to do? Is it making tea in the morning, playing PlayStation? I don't. Obviously, you don't play PlayStation when you're out in the bush, but I'm being facetious. But what's the favorite modification you've done in your vehicle that you love?
All right. Well, the most is to have the fridge and the
Yes.
drawer system to organize all my things. Now, the most modification that I appreciate is upgrading the suspension, because it's make your life more comfortable traveling 8 to 12 hours on and off
Okay.
road with a good suspension. It's make you more to have more energy setting up and enjoying the campsite
Okay.
when you
That's
reach
fair
your
enough. I mean,
destination.
I can. Oh, let me move this. Sorry, I can respect that. I'm big on the most important modification to me on my vehicle. Or it isn't a modification. The most important item on my vehicle to me are my tires. So I'm just one of those guys that I don't like to make it higher and bigger and whatever it is. But also, I don't have the environment that you do. You need that that raised 4x4 effect, whereas for me, I don't really need it. So it's a very, very important item for you. I completely get that, and I reckon if you guys um, can keep doing what you're doing and inviting people to come along with you. It's a great environment. I mean, there's just so much of your area that I know nothing about, and I'm super super excited to hear the projects that you're doing, the modifications that you're doing. And I want to ask you, just to end this off, because we're on 38 minutes already, and really want to carry on chatting, but we can't. But I want to ask you, what is your best and your worst, moments on a track?
All right. I wouldn't say worse, because what I believe, it's if it's all planned out, then it's not an adventure. So we're adventure seeker. We always find enjoyment and best for everything that happens when we're out. So I would say it's an enjoyable time, but it's the most extreme that we have. So, but it's not worse, but it's the most extreme. So I and my friends, about were around 10 vehicles.
Yes.
We found a tracks. It's a old World War II evacuation tracks of the Japanese army. We found it on an old map, so we agreed to explore it.
Wow.
So on our assessment, we told our family that we're going to have an overnight trip to explore a tracks. So when we reached that location, it's all landslides, fallen trees, a tree that has diameter of at least 4 people.
Wow.
So to cut that story short, we were stuck on that place for about 4 days before we reach. But we decided not to go back, but we decided to push through and reach the other side. It's a 120-kilometer mountain forest track. So it's it took us 4 days on recovering from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. continuously. We have one broken axle on a Defender. We overhauled the entire differential on the Bush. uh, we tried to strap a mobile phone on a drone just to text our family that we're still alive.
Really? That's epic. I mean,
I can send you the YouTube link of that also. So there's no signal. Basically, we forgot to bring our sat phone. So our families have already trying to contact the authorities to organize a search and rescue.
wow.
They agreed on the fifth day, they're already going to do a search and rescue. But luckily, on the fourth day in the lunchtime, we were out and we called them. So, so yeah, I can send you that YouTube link
Do
also.
it, please. I would love to watch that. That sounds amazing. I mean, that's the. I say this, and I said it yesterday to Mandir from our overlanding chat in Oman, and I say it every time, is that no good story ever starts off with when you go to the kitchen to boil the kettle to make a cup of tea. It starts off with, no, well, we had to strap a phone to a drone so we could send a message. That's amazing. I mean, I was watching about 6 months ago a series, a very unfortunately American-made series on lost gold in the Philippines, I think it was, where the Japanese had hidden gold and all sorts of different things. And I love watching that type of history and that type of thing. I think it's awesome. Even if it's 50% true, it's still pretty cool to sit and experience and just see some of the stuff that you guys would go through. And listen, thank you very, very much for what you've chatted with me about, Tim. I'm really stoked about hearing all this, and I'm really amazed that you guys are doing such a good job out there, and keep building the good rigs. And if you have any questions and people you want to reach out to, I think, guys, all my listeners, go on to the website. It'll be in the link below, the Instagram page too. And Tim, thanks a lot, man. I know it's late afternoon there for you guys and you're kind of winding down, so I'm going to sign off from here, but we'll definitely keep in touch and send that link through. I'm pretty keen to see what your experience was.
Yeah, sure. I hope one day you can visit us here. I'll bring you around.
That would be amazing. I'd love it. Money depending, I would definitely love it. So thanks again, Tim, and enjoy your evening, and we'll definitely keep in touch.
All right. Okay, sure. Thank you.
Have a good evening. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.